Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. You know, sometimes it's really, we do a talk show. Bridging Heaven and Earth is a talk show, and people come in from all over the world to use words to share with you and to share with me and the crew and the audience here their gifts and their love and their energy. And yet we know that there's something beyond the words of this life, something beyond all the conceptions and definitions and the ways we look at things. We know that there is an unspoken language, and in song and in religions sometimes, the root of the religions, we know that that unspoken word is the holy word, the word of love, the word of what we call God. The holy name, the name of love, the name of oneness, the name of truth. And whatever we do and whatever we think and whatever gifts we've been given on this planet, how do we get to the holy name? How do we get to the holy love? How do we live in the holy love? And as a species, we know that it's time for this group of people on this planet, this group of people who deal with the trees and the oceans and the whales and the dolphins, in seemingly such a disharmonious way that we're literally cutting off the branch we're sitting on. How do we come again to the holy name? How do we learn the love? How do we remember the love? Because in essence, when you start to know the love, you know that the love is what you are, that there is no other. There is only the holy name, the holy love. And it's not that there's something holy and there's something unholy, there's just the love. Let's just call it the love. And how do we know the love? And throughout history, there have been teachers and mystics and gurus and, the Jesuses and the Krishnas, the Buddhas, the Moses, and now so many others who come in with tremendous gifts to teach the love. And if you get to the root of all the religions, if you get to the root of all that, before the separations came in, before the the bureaucracies and the churches and the synagogues and the separations came in, there was the love. And how do we go home? How do we get home to the love? And again, surprisingly enough, this is what Bridging Heaven and Earth is about. This is what we've come together about. This is what, you know, we've done 200 plus shows now. And we're blessed and fortunate to have these shows available now through the miracle of technology, love taking that form, to have it available 24/7 all over the world. Through the internet, so anyone with a high-speed access, anybody who can watch video on the internet could see all these shows dedicated to the oneness, dedicated to the love. And that's why people come in from all over the world. Tonight we have guests coming in from literally all over the United States to be here to share the love. And in this earth, when we look at things in terms of time and space, we know that it's time, and it's now, and it's in this space that we need to know the love, that we need to come together, that all the divisions and all the separations are silly, are small compared to the love. So tonight's guest, again, travels the world, sharing the love, feeling the love, sharing the love, and living the love. Jim Self is what is known as a teacher's teacher, a healer's healer. He's been leading seminars and workshops and healings and teachings of clairvoyance and healing and this thing he calls Mastering Alchemy. He's the founder of the Avalon Institute. And his life is dedicated to experiencing knowledge, experiencing the love, and sharing the love and expanding people's experience so they can feel the love in that pure sense, and that they can light another candle. And we have some beautiful videos from an old friend of Bridging who's been on before a couple of times. He was actually on 9/14 after the 9/11 thing. Carlos Reynosa, we have 2 beautiful music videos of him. We're very fortunate to have that. And then, as most of you know, we're in the middle of this international art project that came as a vision to contact all these people all over the world and have them joyously and lovingly and cooperatively and collaboratively, you know, do a new original piece based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth, and literally pieces have been coming in from all over the world. And we have on the Bridging website, heaventoearth.com, slideshows. We have, you know, videos of shows we've done specifically on the art project. And these art pieces are just extraordinary. So we have 3 separate art pieces for that, 2 necklaces and 1 extraordinary multimedia art piece. They're by Rabia Clark, Lumari, and Deborah Casey, which you'll see. So join me in a short meditation, then we'll have Carlos's first video, and then Jim will be with us. And really, you know, it's time, and it's now, and it's love. So join me in a short meditation. Thank you. So really, settle in. It's really an opportunity for us all. I mean, Jim has really got a lot to share. The art is beautiful. This next video from Carlos is it's just really one bright day. That's all you need to know. Carlos, one bright day. Enjoy.
One bright day, fill my soul with no lies. Oh, mama, mama, I know there's more reason why. More reason why. There's more to life than meets the eye. There's more to life than working so hard. One bright day, we all become a little more. One bright day, all our love is the more. Oh, mama, mama, I know there's more reason why. More reason why. Oh, mama, yeah. There's more to life than meets the eye. There's more to life than working so hard. One bright day, speak to me across the sky. One bright day, hold me up, fly me high. Oh, mama, mama, I know there's more reason why. More reason why. Oh, mama, mama, I know. Oh, mama, mama, I know. Why? Oh, mama, yeah.
Hi everybody, welcome back. So that was a beautiful video. Thank you, Carlos, for sending it. And the picture you're seeing is Rabia Clark, Shaman Rises from the Underworld, one of the most, I mean, we've gotten so many incredible pieces literally from all over the world with expressing that, you know, bridging heaven and earth, how they do it. And here's just another example of it. So it's just, and anybody who's interested, you're welcome to join us. It's ongoing, it's an infinite project, and anybody's welcome to join us. So we're here with Jim. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Nice to be here. It's great.
It really
great.
is.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little earlier, and you were saying that there's just so much happening now, and so much opportunity. And I talked a little bit about that at the open. Why don't you just talk about that a little?
Well, it's a shift. We're in the shift. We're in the time when it's time to go home. Everybody's going home. Now, that's a funny comment for some people here, but we're returning to the heart of God. We're going home. In the process of this, some people are a little bit more asleep than others. But when you start to wake up in this game, it's really astonishing. And in the place where I play, I'm extremely fortunate to have some of the things that happens to me. And I just have woken up a little bit before a couple of the others. And my job is to nudge them and wake them up, and their job is to nudge the next, and as we all go home. But part of my great opportunity is when I go to sleep at night, just like everybody else goes to sleep, and I wake up in the morning, but I don't wake up in the morning like everybody else. I remember where I went. I remember who I got to play with. I remember sitting with the Archangels. And the fabulous thing is, you're there too, and you're there too, and you're there too. Everybody's there. It's who we are when we go home and return to who we are. And then we come back into this game, and we kind of put a bag over our head, and we agreed that we would forget God in certain ways, and we forgot all kinds of aspects of ourselves. But everything that we did coming into this third dimensional structure was to fulfill a series of purposes. You know, one of the purposes is Creator said way back in the beginning, I want to go to the farthest edge of the farthest edge, and I want to know myself in every aspect that I am. And when Creator said that, you ran right up to the front of the line and said, send me, I want to go first. And that creation kept expanding and kept expanding and kept expanding. And then we get out to this, let's call it fifth dimension, just for simple terms. And in that particular space, we all created a new game. And this new game was, what if we know ourselves as love, we know ourselves as graciousness and beauty and light and dignity and all the things we are, but what if there was more to that? What if there was more love? And so we basically created a phenomenal game, although when we look in the mirror every morning, we don't quite see the phenomenal part of the game. But basically, we said, what would happen if we forgot the Creator? How would we play the game if we didn't know the Creator?
And we had the authority to do that as beings because?
Because we were sitting there as part of the Creator, mastering all the elements of all the edge of everything that the Creator was. Creator said, go to the farthest edge and know me. I want to know myself.
And is that part of what people call free will, would you say?
Free will is a big part of it. We kept going out further and further, and then free will became part of the game. But free will is an enormous place, because once you start playing in free will, you have free will. And the interesting part, you remember Star Trek? And in Star Trek, the prime directive was non-interference. That's the prime directive. If you decide you wish to experience yourself in a certain way, and you wish to become the sleaziest slime on the planet, the Archangels and all the guides sit right there with you, and they will work you all the way into the place of your experience. None of them will interfere. If you ask, I need help, I'm stuck, boy, the help is always there. But one of the things that...
And would they help you to get to the sleaziest, slimiest place?
They will allow you.
Allow you, but they won't help you?
It's your free... Oh, no, it's your free will.
Exactly where they get.
No, it's your free will. You have free will.
Mm-hmm.
So it's your creation. From looking from above, from looking from the other side, watching our creations, we're all part of God. We're all that unique spark of Creator, experiencing ourselves in all the ways we possibly can experience ourselves to know the Creator in its fullness. One of the interesting parts is when we step down into this, one of our purposes is we know love, we know graciousness and light. And once we separated, or wrong word, once we chose to ignore that or put this bag over our head so that we didn't remember, we started to unremember. We unwired ourselves. We took parts of ourselves and put them on the shelf and left them behind. That's the parts we're putting back on now. But when we stepped down, and this is not the fall of consciousness I'm talking about, this is just an expansion into a new realm. Our purpose was to know love and graciousness at even grander levels. And so we stepped down into the contrast of this third dimensional reality, and we tried on different suits of clothes. We tried on jealousy and rage and anger and frustration and resentment. We tried on betrayal. We tried on murder and rape. We tried on all of these different frequencies of vibrations in order to have an experience. The great part in my reality, when I go home at night, there's everybody. There's all of the angels, there's all of the archangels and all of the great beings, and they look at you, particularly angels, and they just go, wow, you did these vibrations. And in those vibrations, because you've had that contrasting experience, you get to know love and light and graciousness even more in its fullness. And so if you think about...
So there isn't what you would call a purity of experience in that?
Oh, there's a tremendous purity.
So would purity have its contrast?
Keep it simple, ugly and beautiful. There's all contrasts in all of these things. Purity in itself is a vibration, but there's lots of unpurity or non-purity. And it comes out in lots of different ways. Just like the word love comes out in beauty and grace and admiration and appreciation. So there's no one word that defines a purity or defines a love. But as you try on many of these different aspects, vibrations, you begin to find...
Is there a vibration of fullness, of oneness?
Oh, absolutely.
And would that encompass all of them?
It's where I watch that it's our returning home. It's part of the returning home. We came down here, we're on a huge journey, we're playing wonderful games, we're having experiences. We go home, we experience this particular game, and as infinite beings, we will continue to go on to find the fullness of all that is. Creator wanted to know itself in its fullness, and we are doing our part to know that aspect of it. When you can start to look at it as, geez, I'm learning, I'm experiencing, it begins to be a whole different point of view. You have opportunity to shift your attention. See, most of us get into some of these vibrations and we say, I'm not okay. Well, actually, somebody else said you're not okay, and we're walking along in ease, and somebody says you're not okay, and we go, really? And we drop out of ease into dis big hyphen ease, and we believe them. And they slide right into that slot where I was happy a moment ago, where I was in ease. And as long as I believe that frequency, I've lost that alignment with the inner guidance in my heart. And then I go out and I play on that frequency a little longer, and I trip and fall, and all of a sudden somebody else says, you're not okay.
So if we were on an island and we were born on this island, dropped down, and never saw another person, would we always be at ease?
We wouldn't come to play that game, because if we were always at ease on that island, we would be, or let me ask it, say it this way, what did you want to learn? See, all these places that everybody is in, they're in because that's where they want to be. Now, people go, wait a minute, I didn't ask to be the victim and had my husband, wife cheating on me and out of money and poor me. Oh yeah, you did. Mm-hmm. You asked. The interesting part is once you begin to be able to recognize and accept responsibility for where you are, recognize I chose to be where I am, then you have enough power to step out of it. But when you sit there and say, they won't give me a raise, and he won't do this, and they won't do that, you have no power. There's no power in that. So as you begin to return home, there's lots of the veils that are thinning. You're starting to remember yourself, rewire yourself, realign yourself, and in that realignment, beginning to be capable and powerful and certain and commanding is part of the game. And so you can't be a victim. Law of attraction, you know, I'm not okay and I'm okay. That doesn't work. I'm either here or I'm here. And as we begin to get more sense of ourselves, we start to rise up. As the light of the shift begins to expand, and it's expanding at a huge rate right now, all of a sudden, many things are happening. One of the things that I ask this in a lot of my seminars and lectures, I say to people, you know, do you have a sense that time is going faster? Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you have a sense you have more on your plate? Oh yeah, I'm really got more on my plate. Do you have a sense you're losing your memory? You know, 80% of the room raises their hand. Now what's that about? That's kind of an odd question to ask in the first place. But it's not Alzheimer's if that many people are raising their hand. It's a fabulous thing that's going on. This light is beginning to move through us, through the consciousness, through the earth. It's beginning to clear away a lot of what we are not. In the third dimension, we play in duality, and we play in a time construction that we call past, present, and future. But most people don't spend much time in that third dimensional present moment. We spend a lot of who we are supposed to be and we project it into our future. Or, gee, I hated that event that just happened. I hope it never happens to me again. We put a lot of emotional charge on it. Law of attraction basically recreates that event over and over and over. You know, all the characters and staging and props are a little different, but there's the event. But when you start to play in this third dimensional space, time is a big deal, but time in your reality is starting to disappear, and your memory is disappearing. As these waves come through, it's really fascinating because you're doing it to yourself, I'm doing it to myself, but we carry a lot of baggage in our unconsciousness. Somebody says, you're not a nice person, hurts your feelings, you walk around with it a couple days, and then you can't handle it anymore. So you take that and you do the obvious thing, you put it into a little box called denial, and now I'm done. But it keeps popping up. So you do the next best thing, you take it and you put it into unconsciousness. And it's gone. Well, it's only gone for you. But you've looked at people, you know, and you can see they're not happy, they're a victim, they're in pain and punishment and all those kind of things. They have been abused or whatever it is. The only one who doesn't believe it is them. But everybody else sees it. We're all clairvoyant. It comes with the body. What's happening is those are all part of our lessons that we're working on through the lifetime. But as this light begins to expand in the shift as we're going home, it's really fascinating because the light is beginning to clear away your past memories that have no service to you any longer. They're just baggage. And they're clearing away those same projections out into your future. And so in a really wonderful way, although everybody's not aware of it yet, is much of your memory is disappearing and you're being moved right into present time. And in present time, you have choice, you have opportunity, you have opportunities to basically make different types of decisions without a "I'm not okay" being the driver in our realities. So this light is clearing away huge amounts of.
When you talk about this light, how would you describe this light?
It's we came to play a game. We've been playing the game. We have mastered the game. We've gone into all the various aspects of this game.
So this game is reaching its end?
This game is reaching its end.
And then part of the way the game was it set up, or the way it's manifesting? How would you describe?
Well, the game was set up. It's if I was to say what we set out to do, we set out as beings a long time ago to step down into this game. And we stepped down from the 12th dimension down into these lower dimensions, all experiencing ourselves. And when we started, we didn't have bodies. And then we started creating bodies. And then we started creating much of the density and many of the combinations of things because we wanted to know ourselves, experience ourselves as the Creator saying, I want to know myself. And so when we set out in doing that, one of the pieces that we set out to do is to become a fully Christed being. And when I say that, I'm not using that terminology as a religious terminology, as a consciousness, as an aspect of Creator. Mm-hmm. It's a spectacular vibration of grand beauty, and it's a balanced, aligned frequency. And we set out to become this. And the more we dropped into these lower densities, the more we began to be caught in many of our creations. And we began to forget ourselves, and we began to separate from ourselves, and we lost track of the Creator. Well, part of the plan, put the bag over your head, forget who you are so you can have experience. But we've carried it to a place now where we have tried on all of the different types of
we
vibrations.
Can't get any weirder or any more disharmonious?
Well, some of us can.
No, I was thinking, I know a few people who seem to be sinking like rocks. No, I'm only kidding. But I mean, is that what you're saying? Is that we've as a species, we've succeeded at reaching rock bottom? I mean, it's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yes, let's use that.
Okay,
we have. And now we're basically in the process of shifting. But we've tried this without getting into a place that some people can't get to. But we've tried it in one whole reality a long time ago, and that reality is called Lemuria. And one of the aspects of Lemuria is a consciousness. We came to play, and we became very feminine, very female, very distorted. We lost our masculine aspect in the misbalance. And we kind of ripped up that blueprint and said, this isn't working. We're not accomplishing the goal. And then Lemuria disappeared. And then we started again in Atlantis. And Atlantis fell 3 different times. And all those times, Atlantis swung way over to the other side, became hugely masculine.
And technological.
Hugely technological. We aren't even beginning to have the technology that they had in Atlantis. And they had access to what?
And when they were going through this, did they think, as you did, that they were at the end of their rope? I mean,
no.
No. So in other words, they always knew that they could get lower, but we know we're at the end of our lowness.
We know we're going home.
We know we're going
We do.
home. And did they think they were going home?
Well, let me finish this piece up. But no, they didn't. They were trying, and they got very much out of balance. And 3 times they got extremely out of balance. But one of the things, there's something known as the law of one, the circle of one. And in Atlantis, it was broken. And so it created more of a wobble. And they had capacity to do things using the mind and the emotions and the energetic rays, the building blocks of life. They knew how to use these things that we don't even have access to virtually anymore. They're coming back. But so we fell again, or we dropped down. And then we came back this last 13,000 years to where we are now. Well, actually, let me take you to 1985, 1986.
Please.
And in that period of time, all those prophecies were lined up that basically said in 2000, the year 2000, the prophecies say, here's all the ways the Earth can end. It can flip over, it can basically get hit with an asteroid. All those things are very real. You know, in the book of Revelations, there's 9 stories. That's why it's so convoluted trying to read it. You have to even go back to Ezekiel and Daniel to make sense of Revelations. But they were all the prophecies, the ending times. And if we had not met this Christed consciousness target, we would have again ripped up the blueprint and had one of the ending times. But coming into what you know, I know as the harmonic convergence, the souls were asked, do we want to rip up the blueprint again? Do we want to end this again? We were so far away from being the Christed being. I mean, miserable. And yet, the oddest thing happened, and it's a fabulous thing. We, the souls, 51% said, we don't know how we're going to do it, but let's go for it this time. We can accomplish this. And that harmonic convergence came, and into 1992, a set of things were set in place that should have never have happened, never have worked. In fact, a side story is that all of the beings participating in the harmonic convergence, when everybody said, let's go for it, they went back into the records, and they went back 5 million years, and that's as far as you can go in the records for some reason. They found one thought, only one thought that was thought, that said, if I was to have this kind of experience, this is what I would do. And now you look back and you can see the fingerprint of the Creator. But they followed that thought and they created some astonishing experiences. And in 1992, they kind of pushed the go button and it worked. And since then, we have been overstepping what we thought would be our future. Right now, there is no future. You have no future. Every time you put your foot down, you are creating a new set of miracles in the game. There is no plan anymore. But becoming fully Christed beings, we are. And we're satisfying it and we're being successful. And that masculine and feminine aspects of ourselves is being blended right into your DNA as we sit here and talk without our conscious third dimensional awareness of it. But you as a larger being, in your conscious state of awareness and helping in this movement, as this light comes through, all of the aspects of who you are not are starting to be cleared from who you are. You're beginning to become exactly who you are, exactly the love who you are. You're going home. You're right in the space where you're waking up, and this shift is unfolding in the most miraculous ways. And so that light is huge, and it's shining brighter, and it's shining brighter. And in the next coming years, in a simple way, if I said to you, can you name me one institution on the face of the earth that is healthy? The answer is no. And so all these institutions, they're being, let's call them dissolved, shifted. Let's not use destroyed. But, you know, the governments and the militaries and the economic systems and the judicial systems, the social systems, the medical systems, they don't serve people.
They don't work.
They don't work. They don't work in oneness. They don't have compassion and empathy. They don't have love that allows people to become whole again. But underneath everything, you look worldwide, and there's people cleaning the rivers, and there's people feeding the homeless, and there's people uplifting for this reason and helping in that reason. And when you look at that, you can't even count those people. There's millions and millions of all of us that are waking up, going home. That's simply what's happening. And you're becoming conscious of it. But as the light shines on those that have been the dominators and the ones who like slavery and abuse and those things because it fed them, they're getting extremely uncomfortable because that light's getting brighter. It's shining on them. And they're having to dig in. It's almost as if you kick a rock and all the little bugs and insects and everything scatter because they're no longer in the dark. And you're watching the darkness finding its ending days. And it's shifting, and it's really pretty miraculous. But the piece that's most important is, how do you handle it? How do you wake up? How do you deal with your realities? And the fascinating, there are tools. There is structures that if you start to manage your attention point, manage your intention or have an intention, if you start to recognize that you can shift the geometries of the energetic fields around the body. Most people look at the aura and they just see it as this amorphic field. But when you came into the body, you left the vehicle or the vessel that held the aura intact allowed you to not become the effect of somebody else's energy, anger, frustration. You didn't have to run it through you. You could allow them to have their experience, their truth, their creation, while you simply observed and had yours. But we've gotten, without the vehicle, without the geometries that we've left behind, you merge, I merge with all kinds of energy that moves through our day. We become the effect of somebody else's anger, somebody else's needs. And many times we're many healers. You know, I watch many healers, and in some ways they're not necessarily healing because nobody asked them. In the simplest terms, some are meddling. I have a better idea of how to fix you. Here, do what I say. You'll be better. Well, actually, we get in each other's space. And as you start to find these shifts coming, we're beginning to pull out of each other's space. Because when you can become whole, you can be in the light, you can begin to put your candle on the candlestick so all in the house can see, then I get healed. Because I can begin to see that light and I can make decisions for myself within the light and the internal guidance system that I am. It's really spectacular, watching it unfolding, and it is unfolding.
All right, maybe we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the tools. Maybe
Please,
yeah.
Yes.
So maybe we'll come back and right now we'll have the second Carlos video, another beautiful piece of love manifest. It's Follow the Children. Carlos Reynosa, a dear friend of Bridging. He's probably going to be on one of the shows coming up pretty soon. He wants to get back on and tell us what he's up to. So Follow the Children. Enjoy.
I sing of the children who will be their guiding light, to love and adore them, bring them to laughter and save them from the pain. Hope for the children. Life is creation, all created is one. We're all part of one single creation. Everyone has a song. God gives us all a song. That's how we know who we are. Everyone's got to be afraid. Hope for the children. Life is creation, all created is one. We're all part of one single creation. I say of the children, the light in their eyes will show the way. Follow the children. We will all know the way. And for those yet to come,
Hi everybody, welcome back. So that was a beautiful video. Carlos again, Follow the Children, beautiful. So what we have now is two other manifestations of Bridging Heaven and Earth, the beautiful art pieces. Deborah Casey is the one on the left here, and Lumari is the one on the right, and just extraordinary pieces of just that expression. And literally they're coming in from all over the world, as I said, just beautiful pieces of art, and all different kinds, all sizes, shapes, from all over. So if anyone is interested in joining us in the art project, a new original piece based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth, get it to us, we'll put it on the show. We do art project shows, and just, it's about really healing the planet, healing the heart of the planet, acupuncture for the planet. So we're back with Jim, so great to be back again.
Thanks.
So yeah, we were talking at the end about, you know, different tools people could use to help them to get into the moment, to remember, to get the bag off their head,
Yeah.
or whatever metaphor. So why don't you talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit?
Well, in the context of going home, we're starting to remember. We're starting to rewire ourselves, realign ourselves, reposition ourselves with who we are. And in the process, as these veils that have been very heavy for all these years of playing the game, they're starting to thin. The light's getting more grand. In the process, we're beginning to have access to those aspects of ourselves that we took off to play this game. And one of the pieces that's fascinating is we all walk around with this energy field called an aura. You know, most people that are watching the show understand what that is.
An aura.
An aura,
Yeah,
this
okay.
energy field that is around us. And if you were to define it, it has 7 layers, it has multiple colors, it has much of your memory is stored in there. But that energy field is very raw. It's kind of just floating in that space, held. Before we came down into this place, that energy field was contained in a vessel. And the vessel, in simple terms, is called an octahedron. It's one of the 5 Platonic sacred geometric forms. And when you realign this octahedron, put it back on, reset it in motion, it begins to act as an antenna. And an antenna will attract different frequencies, vibrations. The third dimensional reality, if I called it a box, let's say, it's actually an octahedron also. That's the mathematical structure of the third dimension. So when you begin to align with that third dimensional structure, not the I'm not okay, not the jealousy, the rage, but the beauty and the grace and the aspects of that third dimension, all of a sudden you begin to get out of much of the noise. And then there's another aspect of this, is there's not just one octahedron that gets built, there are 3. And 2 of them spin in a counterclockwise rotating field. It creates a stable form. Then to add to it, you can take it and begin to raise it in speed, make it go faster. You take it up to 90% of the speed of light. Now that sounds like a large number, but even in quantum physics, the speed of light is no longer a constant. And so very easy to do this. It's remembering, it's the rewiring. And so you build this field and you start to structure yourself in this field, and it becomes a vessel. And in the vessel, it begins to be very clear, from the edge of this vessel to my heart is me. And from the edge of the vessel out is Shakespeare's theater to entertain me. And so that creates a division, not a separation, but just simply an ability to begin to identify, define yourself without having everybody else's permission and lacks and invalidations sitting in the space. You take this field to 90% of the speed of light and you step well outside of the noise of ain't it awful, poor me. In that place, you get a tremendous level of clarity. One of the next things that becomes available is you start to reconnect with the soul. And we all have a concept of the soul, but the soul plays an enormous role in who you are. And so there's a way of basically, when you get up to these speeds, the ability to connect with the soul and know the soul, rather than being in the ain't it awful, poor me, becomes much more available to you. There's a place in the consciousness that's referred to as the higher mind. It's an aspect of the soul's intelligence. And when you begin to step up and move into the higher mind, because now you have this field setting in a place that allows you to do that and maintain awareness. In the higher mind, it's a spectacular place because it's quiet, it's detached from that noise, it's focused, it's clear. You begin to ask a question from the higher mind, and without any movement away from yourself, the answer lies where the question is asked. There's no going out seeking the answer. The answer lies right where it's asked. And so, for the most part, we're so noisy in the third dimension that we're always in motion. We're moving away from ourselves. We never gets quiet enough to align with this inner guidance system in the heart. In the higher mind, you begin to get to that place. And then there's something that's referred to in the higher dimensions that's called the sanctuary of the pink diamond. It's within the heart. It's the place where that inner smile lives, that place where you and the Creator are one. You speak to the Creator and the Creator speaks to you. The fascinating part about that is, in coming into the third dimension, the single most important thing that we were never going to lose was our relationship with the Creator. And so we covered it up, we hid it, we protected it, we made it very unattainable to with the third dimensional space. That's the separation that we experience coming into the third dimensional reality. We hid ourselves from the Creator. My metaphorical bag over your head. As you start to get into these higher, faster fields of light, you start to vibrate in places where you can enjoy yourself. You begin to find happy. You begin to allow yourself, with a little bit of information, to refine certainty and seniority and graciousness and powerful. Because when you go back home, you're expected to be powerful and capable and focused. You're expected to manage every thought and every word and every action every second. And well, when you get into this higher mind, and then you start to get into the sanctuary of the pink diamond, and when you go into this sanctuary, this huge crystallized pink light sits there, and it just vibrates in reverence and beauty. The tears begin to flow down your face. It's so stunning. But that's you. That's that sanctuary. That's that inner guidance system. When you're in that inner guidance system, it doesn't matter what other people think of you. What other people think of you is none of your business. Your business is about your business. But you get into this sanctuary, you get into this higher mind, you start to vibrate at these words of graciousness and dignity. You start to find that you observe the world around you in a very different manner. You start to find that 1 and 1 is 3. You know, it's
or 11, they say.
Well, 11 too. That's a good point. But in this case, yeah, it is. But it's a stepping up.
Everyone wanted to know if there was a host left, so I just right? No.
Thank you. I understand.
No, okay.
It's but it's a stepping up, you know. And so in this place, you go to the high road. You watch people in pain, and you don't fix them. You watch for the opportunity to give them an opportunity to uplift themselves. You say a certain thing. You're
available.
You become available,
right.
And you simply, because the light that you are, it gives them an opportunity to stand up.
Vibrationally, you're lifting, right?
Exactly.
Without saying anything.
Yeah.
And there's no time and space to that.
There is no time and space.
So as the vibration lifts, everyone's being lifted.
Exactly. And you start to access this fourth dimension, which is really kind of a stepping stone in simple terms. It's a place where you get into present time and you begin to find choice. But when you start to play into the fifth dimension, which the rational mind doesn't have a handle on, you can't make sense of this in a rational thinking space. But an aspect of it is it's a field of possibilities. So when you get into a single place without moving, you start to work from the heart. You begin to think from the heart and act from the wisdom of the higher mind.
Your love in motion.
You become the love that you are. And in the love that you are, you simply align with the possibility, and the possibility in simultaneous time becomes manifest. You start to live in the third dimension, experience yourself mostly in the joy of the fourth dimension, take the possibilities of the fifth dimension, and place them back into the third dimension.
You talk about it a lot. So do you see a value in defining all these dimensions?
Generally, I would say no, because the rational mind can't grab a hold of it. But in the place where I play, what has to happen is many, like I said earlier, the reference points, all those parts of I'm not okay, they're disappearing. You're forgetting those places. So in this stepping stone, there really is a need for certain reference points. And so if you can simply say fourth dimension plays out this way, joy, excitement, enthusiasm.
Is that explanation going to the way you would describe it, the heart of the head? Or is it
going to the heart?
It is going to the heart.
Yeah. See, just like we talked about earlier, I sit here and I say all this, half the audience falls asleep. Well, they really don't fall asleep. You start to hit these vibrational tones of where that grand consciousness is, but the rational mind can't grasp it. And so people will go unconscious. I'm just simply talking to you. Half the audience is unconscious. And then we get to a certain place and we change the energy slightly and they come right back into where they are. But what happens is the rational mind tries to figure things out and bends it and twists it and stuffs it into that rational mind box. It never succeeds. But when you can become disengaged, like going unconscious, all of a sudden the rational mind grows and it has now access to more information that it can make sense of. And so that's partly what happens when people go unconscious.
But would you say that there's always an experience greater than the rational mind?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. So at some point, the rational mind, in a sense, is better off left behind.
In this case, it doesn't serve you. It has a great place in the whole process, but it would be making the analogy of a 10% brain, rational mind, and then the 90% brain becomes the fields of awareness. And you operate very differently when you're aware. You don't have to think through it, especially if you're at the place where you ask the question and the answer arrives. There's no work. That changes the whole nature of the game.
The wind's in your sails at that point.
Oh, absolutely. And you start to, there's no place to go, I'm not okay. You just simply laugh and smile, and the love begins to expand, and that inner smile within the heart and that connection to the Creator, it simply grows. And it starts from the inside, and it becomes undeniable. And you can't wipe the smile off your face because it just is. And that's the place of waking up. That's the place of going home. And that's where we are.
And so we started this second half, we're talking about tools. Now you described how the tools would work. Do you have any specific, if somebody's saying, okay, Jim's making a lot of sense to my rational mind and to my unrational mind, let's say.
Sure.
But I'd like to hear what he has to say about, there have been like meditations, there have been visioning or things like that.
Sure,
Is there anything that you think would be of value for people to open themselves to?
One of the things that we do in this Mastering Alchemy course, which we're now teaching by teleclass, but we teach it all over the world, is if you can begin to figure out where you start and stop. Now, that's not accurate, but just simply where is the place between you and me that we're sitting, that there's the edge of you, that edge of that aura. If a person can basically define a point right out here, and approximately it's there for everybody, plus or minus, but if you just put an image of a rose or just an image right here, and then stay on your side and observe the world around you from this size, it creates a delineation. All of a sudden you start to recognize you for you, and that is the theater. And when you can begin to make a distinction, you're starting to be able to become aware of what's yours and what's not. And that's when this magic begins to happen. You start to recognize, just because my mother, father, teacher, minister told me I wasn't okay, maybe they didn't get it. Maybe their concept really wasn't my path, my truth. And maybe my path and truth really are okay. Maybe I'm supposed to be the artist that does this lovely work. But no, the dad said, no, you're supposed to be a lawyer. An accountant, a lawyer.
No.
Yeah. And so what happens is that person becomes invalidated, and then all of a sudden they drop down and they're operating off of somebody else's truth. And that truth, when it's not resonating in the heart, is the pain that we all experience. But what if they didn't know what they were talking about? They're good people. They're no bad people.
No, they tried to do the best they could.
Give them the benefit of the doubt. But in this place, what is my path? What is my truth? And when you're completely meshed in all the sounds, the frequencies that are running through you, you never get to identify who you are. You put that rose up, you stay on your side and observe the universe out there. It becomes theater. All of a sudden you actually get to laugh at things that you would have been crying about before or hiding in your house. I can't tell you the number of people that once they get this level of permission to own themselves, their life changes dramatically. See, a very fundamental part of life is if you are not safe, you have no permission. And so if you can Give people tools to make them safe, to get them grounded, to basically change the electromagnetic frequency, just ground off all that static. Define, this is me, this is my safety zone. They start to choose to experience themselves. But if they're terrified because mom, dad, teacher, minister said, and I can't do that, I can't go out and have my own truths, then they sit in their own home. We had a woman in Berkeley that had never come out of her house for 12 years because they out there were going to get her. And we went into her house. This is a Michael Tamura. Went into her house.
30 seconds. What do you want everybody to know?
I want to know that they're going home. I want to know that the God in their heart is waking up. And it's a grand, simple way of going about it. And it's happening right now.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're coming to the end. Really, I mean, I hope you can feel what was going on here. I hope you can feel, I would call it the love Jim was feeling and sharing for all of us and for himself, and just love in motion. So if you want any information, Alan, 805-687-2053, about Jim, about Carlos, about the art project, it's all about the love. So we're going home, let's enjoy it, let's play together, let's enjoy each other. So good night, God bless you. Thank you for coming. Good night.